Two Just Stop Oil protesters have been arrested after protesting at the World Snooker Championship at the Crucible Theatre in Sheffield. Orange dye was doused over the table at the event, with both matches between Robert Milkins vs Joe Perry and Mark Allen vs Fanchini forced to stop. Soon afterwards, World Snooker ruled the tablecloth was damaged beyond repair and would have to be replaced overnight. As a result, the Milkins-Perry match will now resume on Tuesday evening at 7 p.m, with the venue being opened early on Thursday at 9:30 a.m. so the first round tie can conclude. The activist group demanded that the government immediately stop all new UK fossil fuel projects and called upon UK sporting institutions to step into civil resistance against the government's genocidal policies. A 52-year-old man and a 30-year-old woman were arrested on suspicion of criminal damage, South Yorkshire Police said. Both are in custody. Speaking on the BBC Red Button, at the time of the incident, 7-time world champion Stephen Hendry said, "I have never seen that before at a snooker event. It's a first."
Fox News has settled a defamation lawsuit from the voting machine company, Dominion, over its repeated claims that the company was to blame for Trump's loss in the 2020 presidential election. In a last-minute settlement before trial, the network agreed to pay $787.5 million, about half the $1.6 billion initially sought by Dominion. Dominion argued its business was harmed by Fox spreading false claims the vote had been rigged against Donald Trump. The deal spares Fox executives such as Rupert Murdoch from having to testify, and the judge in the case is not required to give his approval for the settlement. Fox said Tuesday's settlement was one of the most anticipated defamation trials in U.S. history, reflecting its commitment to the highest journalistic standards, and that the network acknowledges the court's rulings finding certain claims about Dominion to be false. Dominion chief executive John Poulos told a press conference the deal included Fox admitting to telling lies, causing enormous damage to my company, and that lies have consequences.
As a further escalation of the Ukraine war as it spills into Europe and beyond, Russia is accused of planning to sabotage wind farms and communication cables in the North Sea. The details come from a joint investigation by public broadcasters in Denmark, Norway, Sweden and Finland. It says Russia has a fleet of vessels disguised as fishing trawlers and research vessels in the North Sea. They carry underwater surveillance equipment and are mapping key sites for possible sabotage. UK officials say they are aware of Russian vessels moving around UK waters. The first of a series of reports is due to be broadcast on Wednesday by DR in Denmark, NRK in Norway, SVT in Sweden and YLE in Finland. Investigators analyzed intercepted Russian communications which indicated so-called ghost ships sailing in Nordic waters which had turned off their transmitters so as not to reveal their locations.
At least 83 people have been killed in a crash at a school in Yemen's capital Sana'a just days before the Eid al-Fitr festival, according to Houthi officials and media. The crash happened late on Wednesday as hundreds of people crowded into a school in the Bab al-Yemen district of Sana'a in the hope of getting a charitable donation of about $9 that was being handed out by merchants to mark the final days of Ramadan. A video posted by Houthi television on the Telegram messaging app showed a crowd of people jammed together, some screaming and shouting and reaching out to be pulled to safety. Separate footage released by the Houthis, who control the capital, showed bloodstains, shoes, and victims' clothing scattered on the ground while investigators examined the area. Witnesses said that armed Houthis had fired into the air in an attempt to disperse the crowd, apparently hitting an electrical wire, which exploded and caused panic among those waiting. The Houthi-controlled Ministry of Interior's blamed the random distribution of funds without coordination with local authorities. The two merchants who organized the event had been detained and an investigation is underway.
The Defense Ministry in Moscow says a Russian fighter jet accidentally bombed the city of Belgorod near the border with Ukraine. Regional Governor Vyacheslav Gladkov said the blast had left a huge crater about 20 meters wide in the city center. 2 women were injured and several buildings were damaged. A Su-34 fighter bomber jet accidentally discharged aircraft ordnance, the ministry said. The incident took place at 22:15 local time on Thursday and an investigation is underway. Photos and videos on social media show apartments damaged by the blast, while one image shows a car on the roof of a building. Belgorod, a city of 370,000, is around 25 miles from the Ukrainian border. It lies just north of Ukraine's second city, Kharkiv. People there have been living in fear of Ukrainian shelling since the Russian invasion of Ukraine last year. Russian jets also regularly fly over the city on their way to Ukraine. Residents said they heard a whistling noise moments before the blast erupted beside a block of flats in Belgorod.
British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak suffered a serious blow to his premiership today as one of his closest allies resigned over allegations he bullied officials. In a resignation letter posted on Twitter on Friday, Dominic Raab said he decided to resign as Deputy Prime Minister and Justice Secretary after an official inquiry found the claims made against him were justified. The review into Raab, conducted by independent investigator Adam Tolley, followed 8 formal complaints about his behavior while acting as Foreign Secretary, Brexit Secretary and Justice Secretary. Raab said he believed the report set a dangerous precedent in setting the threshold for bullying so low and said its findings were flawed. Raab was the Foreign Secretary under Boris Johnson, but was removed after criticism that he was on holiday in Greece while the Taliban took over Afghanistan.